Hello everyone, this is Mohammed from Python Ninja YouTube channel, and in this tutorial we will learn how can we code higher order functions in Python. In Python, functions are first class object or citizen. What does that mean? The first class object, okay, is the object that can be passed as an argument to another function. So when I define a function, I have inside this function what is called temporary variables or arguments or parameters. So I can define functions inside another functions, or I use them or I identify the parameters to be a function. So we have three cases that reflect the first class object characteristic in Python. When we speak about the function. The first one, a function can be passed as an argument to another function. A function can be defined inside another function, and in the previous tutorial we learned together how can we define two functions inside each other when we highlighted the scope resolutions of parameters of a function. A function can also be returned from another function. Let's consider all situations by writing appropriate code. Okay, for the first one, the function can be passed as an argument, or a function can be passed as an argument. I want to define this function. This is a special function called compose. Okay, what inside this compose? I want to define inside this compose func1, the first function, and the second function, okay, and another parameter which is x. Okay, so the function can be passed as an argument to another function. I have another function compose, and I pass two another functions as arguments. So this is the first case when a function or functions can be passed as argument, okay, inside another function. What this compose can do, we will design it to return, for example, func1 of the first function of the second function of the variable x. Okay, so the first thing I have to pass the variable x, okay, within the arguments, and the function number 2 will be applied to this variable, okay, and the function number 1 will apply to the result of the function number 2 that is applied to the x. Okay, now when I recall the function compose, okay, compose, what we will see inside this compose, I have to send the first function, and in this case, I want to send the print. I want to print what I will include now. So when I print a function, in this case, we have to remove the parentheses. Don't use the rounded brackets here. Okay, the first rule. Then we call the second one. Okay, I want to print the length. Okay, len is another function, but I have to remove the parentheses also, okay, without using rounded bracket. So I want to print the length. These are two functions corresponding to these parameters, and here in a form of arguments of what? Okay, the length of my name. Okay, the length of Muhammad. How many characters? Okay, len is a built-in function or method, and print is a built-in function. I use them as argument, okay, for the function compose, and this function will first compute the length of my name or the string, or if it unless it will be it will count how many items inside the list. Here it will count how many characters inside my name, and it will print this number. So if I execute this line of code, I can see that I have 7 here. 7 is nothing but the second function, okay, which is the length of my name. I printed it. Okay, this is high ordered function. This is like more advanced functionality of a function in Python. When we have external functions that does separate things, and we like utilize them inside our main function. And this case, in the case we have compose. Okay, let's highlight another example. I want to design this special function, okay, based on the random module, okay, which will return the function. Okay, I want to define the function which is called random, okay, power. Okay, what is the random power? Is a function that will return, okay, another function that will compute the power. Okay, so I will have list of powers, power of 2, power 3, or square or cube of a number, and randomly I want to pick one of these functions. Okay, so this function will take no argument, but I want to highlight now the function can be defined inside another functions. Okay, so in this case, let us consider this, or let us postpone the defining the function inside another function, and let us consider another example when we say, when we also conclude the function can be passed as an argument. Let us to define diff square, for example, just to increase your knowledge about using the function or passing the function as an argument. I want to consider here the first number, and I want to return, okay, number, okay, star 2, which will return the square of the number. I have also another function, and this example is related to the first case. Okay, I want to define cube, and the cube will take the number. Okay, and in this case I want to return the number, okay, star 3, which will return the cube of the function. I want to define another function that will return the result to me, okay, and this result will take from function. Okay, again, I have two external functions. Okay, I have the third function that will compute the result. I want to pass any of these functions, okay, even a square or a cube, to that function. And what we will do, we will have the output, okay, in this form. So I have the output which will equal, okay, the func. So I pass this func, okay, which could be square or cube, and I have a new variable here that to store the result, which is output, and the output, it's similar to call the function from outside. So I call a cube here or a square. A cube of what? I want to have a cube of x, but x I want to take it from like user input. So I want to take the func of integer of input, okay, and I want to ask the user I want to ask the user enter, okay, the number, for example, okay, and we will return, okay, return, okay, print of the output. Again, this is another example that shows that the function or a function can be passed as an argument, which is here inside another function. Okay, I have two external functions. I pass any of them inside this func, this result, and I use this, okay, which could be square or cube, okay, to return the square or cube of a number. But in this example, I just expanded your knowledge to see you how can we interactively at the same time, or when we call the function, we can submit the number. Okay, let us call this. Let us call the function. Okay, to see. So I have the result. Okay, let us put underscore, and we will have now the result. Okay, and which function do you want to prefer? Okay, I want to use a square. Remember one important thing: when you call a function inside another function, don't use parentheses or what's called round brackets. Okay, and when I just run the code, okay, a new message, in this case we have this result. Okay, this result will ask me to submit argument. I submit the argument as a function square, and when we submit the argument square directly, and this square will be applied to this line, okay, or to this input, and this input will be initiated. I want to have a square of 10, then this function will return to me a print that shows the square of the function. This is another example that can highlight or can shed the light to passing the function or a function as an argument, which is like this, inside another function, and then we can, for example, change between these functions. We have to remove parentheses here, and we run, and then I have the cube of 10, which will be 1,000 or 1,000, and by this we can conclude the first case, which is the function or a function can be passed as an argument inside another function. The second one, a function can be defined inside another function, and I will back to the example that use the random module, and I want to define the random power. Okay, the random power is a function that will select from like a list of functions, like different powers, like power of 2, which is a square, power of 3, which is cube, and power 4, and inside this function will be no argument, but I want to identify another function, so a function can be defined inside another function, so I want to define inside this function def, for example, power 2, and this power 2 will take integer number, and it will return the the same integer number, but multiplied by itself, which is square. Or can we do like this, start 0? I want to define the power, okay, which is power of 3, and in this case I want to consider the same integer. Okay, I want to return, okay, power, okay, I square 3. I want to define power of 4, and here I have the integer, and I want to return the power of 4 like this. Finally, I want to consider the result, because I want to select from this result, which will be functions, which are these functions, okay, will be stored, okay, inside the list. And when I store their name, I don't use their parentheses here. Okay, power 2, I have power, okay, 3, okay, I have power 4. These are the list of functions that I have, and I remove the parentheses because I want to use only the name, not in a form of calling them. And I want to when I call this function, okay, I want to randomly select one of this, either power 2 or power 3 or power 4. And we learned together when we introduce a list in Python that there is a random dotted choice that will select one item at a time randomly. So this function will return to me, okay, will return random. For that I imported random. Okay, let's just remove this space. Random dot choice, and the choice will choose from this func list. Okay, and yeah, this function in general, when we call this function, the result will be one function picked from this list randomly, either 2, 3, or 4. Okay, and by this case, I identified like a set of functions, not one function. We have 3 functions identified inside a function, and let's see, like for let's identify for I in range. I want to like 10 times select. Okay, I want to recall this function 10 times, so I use for loop. Okay, and I want to assign the for loop like in a result. Okay, which will be random on just no argument now inside this function. So since there is no argument, I will also consider here no argument. So in this case, okay, I have for loop that will turn this function on for 10 times. So 10 times when we recall the function, and each time we store the result inside the result of calling inside result. What is the result of calling? The result of calling is consider the same any of these functions. So for example, in the first iteration will be, for example, the result will be in the first iteration will be b power 2, for example, like this. And we learned together that this is called assigning function assigning variable to a function, and we can now use the newly assigned new name. Look, please go back and watch the previous tutorial about assigning a new variable to the function or renaming the function. So the result become equal to power. So when I recall the result, okay, when I recall the result, I can pass, okay, inside the result the number, okay, because the result is nothing but a randomly selected function, okay. And now I can pass, for example, I or in the integer here to be 5, okay. So, or let us to use 2, okay, and I want to print this, okay, just to show to you the result. This is the outcome of recalling the function randomly, or calling the function 10 times, which will return, okay, randomly selected function from a list. And we can see here, yeah, this is the power of 4 when I submit 2. This is 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. This is 2. Then the function is selected randomly 2, which is 2 by 2. This is 3. This is 8, which is 2 by 2 by 2, which is the power 3. And this is like randomly selected functions and return a random result, okay. So we highlighted the recalling or defining the function inside another functions, and now we want to highlight how can function return another function. In this case also, because we randomly select, okay, but here we consider this a list of names, okay, not function calling itself. Okay, but in the next example, we will highlight how can a function recalled in how can the function invoked or recall inside another function. Suppose I want to have like a small calculator that will return the division only, okay, to highlight the function that can be returned from another function. So I want to have this divisor, okay, and this divisor will take, for example, b, okay, and I want to give default value to be none, okay, just default value. It will not affect the result, but it will be none, okay. So what is this b? Okay, b, I want to take it from like external input, which will be like let us also restrict ourselves to integer value, okay. Enter the divisor, okay, and I want divisor here, and I want to take this output, this number from external input, and I want to define here the dividend, okay, dividend, okay. And what is inside this dividend? Inside this dividend there will be an argument also, which will be none, okay, similar to defining the b, and inside this dividend I want to take a, and a will be also the same integer of input, and I want to say enter the dividend, okay, dividend, okay, and we want to submit the dividend, okay. This function, which is the dividend, okay, what will return to me? Will return to me, okay, a over b, for example, okay. We have a over b, okay, and or it can be b over a, okay. Now this function, which is the dividend, okay, and let me to make it b over a, okay, okay. Now, what this function will return, dividend will return this result. Okay. Now, but this is for the inner function. But what the outer function will return, so I can come here and the outer function, we have to keep this indent, okay? An indent, which is the space, and I come here and I want to return what I have to return. A function can be returned from another function. I want to return this function, okay? But I have to use the parentheses now, okay? The parentheses is mandatory because we recall the function, okay, not the function name or the memory address of the function. Okay, so this is small function that will return the division of between two numbers. Okay, so I passed the base here, and I have the dividend. This function, okay, dividend will return to me the result. Remember, as what we introduced in the scope resolution of the variable. Okay, for the scope resolution here, this function will return to me b over a. Okay, however, b does not define inside the dividend, then the function will look to the enclosed space. The enclosed space from the outer function is this, so it will take b from the enclosed space, or which is the regime of the outer function. This inner function has only a and b is not identified inside the inner function, then the inner function dividend will look above to be in the enclosed space. And if b is not identified in this space, it will go to global space. We have to put it in the global space, which is outside the function. And if it's not inside the global space, it should be inside the built-in space. Please go back and check the scope resolution, okay, of a function or of a variable of a function. And we returned now dividend function, so I can have a variable which is called like result here. I want to take the result as a variable, and I want to store the divisor. Okay, I want to store the divisor inside this. Okay, so when I call this function, I have it's not mandatory to put inside it b, because I use default argument which is none inside b. So when I recall this divisor, okay, then this function will return to me, okay, to me what? Will return to me the dividend, which is this one, which implies b over a, and now I have to insert b and I have to insert a, and finally I have to print the result. Okay, now I have to enter 10. Okay, for example, for the divisor, for the dividend 5, I have to check 10 over 5. The result will be 2, and that is valid result because I use the return function. I return the function inside another outer function, and I recall this, and I store the result inside a variable. Then I print that variable, and that's for today's tutorial. I hope that the higher order functions are now clear in Python, and now you can design a function that can be passed inside another function as argument, or can be returned inside another can be defined inside another function, or can be returned from another function, as what we highlighted in this example.